Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the weeds, looking at the blueprint for a new resource. We want to figure out what it promises, who it's for.
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at the introduction to the Sustainable Professionals Journal. It's a podcast series from Vincent Walters.
And the target audience seems really specific. High achievers, yes, but ones who are just completely overwhelmed.
Right. So our mission really is to break down what's being offered right at the start. When you're exhausted, that intro, it's kind of like the contract.
What's the actual approach Walters is selling here?
Exactly. If you, listening now, feel like you're running on empty, does this thing actually respect where you're at? Does it offer a realistic way forward?
Okay, let's jump right in then, because the language Walters uses, it feels very deliberate. He doesn't call it like a productivity system.
No, not at all. Or some new management hack.
Instead, the label is a compassionate recovery tool. That's quite a specific phrase.
It really is. And that choice of words, recovery tool, it tells you so much about who this is for, right? About their current state.
It assumes they're not just looking for efficiency tips.
Precisely. It's saying, look, we know you're likely operating from a deficit, maybe feeling a bit, well, professionally injured, burned out.
Right. Not just inefficient, but actually suffering from fatigue, from burnout.
To stark contrast to all that hustle harder stuff you usually see, isn't it?
Oh, completely. A total rejection of it, really.
Yeah. If he'd called it, I don't know, a productivity accelerator, you'd immediately feel that pressure. Like, okay, got to optimize, got to produce more now. But calling it compassionate recovery, that changes the whole expectation. It signals, okay, this is going to be non-judgmental. It's probably low demand, at least initially.
Focused on just getting stable first, maybe, before worrying about performance.
Yes, exactly. It's like the resource is saying, hey, we get it. You need to heal a bit before you can even think about performing at your peak again.
And that alone must be a huge weight off for someone listening who's feeling exhausted.
Absolutely. Because the last thing you need when you're burnt out is another thing demanding huge effort just to figure out how to use it.
Okay, so the starting line is clearly marked. You need recovery. What about the path forward, the journey itself?
Well, the intro frames that quite clearly, too. It's pitched as a research-backed journey from burnout to balance.
Right, research-backed. Let's pause on that. Given the audience, you said high achievers, probably analytical types.
Highly skeptical types, often.
Yeah, exactly. So that research-backed claim feels necessary. Vital, maybe.
Oh, absolutely vital for building trust. Think about it. These aren't likely people looking for, quick fixes based on anecdotes or feel-good quotes.
They've probably tried a lot of that pop psych stuff already.
And found it didn't stick, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't sustainable. So they need rigor. They want to know the methods are grounded in something solid.
Like cognitive science or behavioral studies, not just hoping for the best.
It's an immediate signal. It says, this isn't just fluffy self-help. There's evidence behind this.
Yeah.
It's like Walters is anticipating their skepticism and saying, we've done the homework.
Okay, but let me push back a little on the destination, balance. In today's world, always on, hyper-connected, is balance even, is it realistic or just another buzzword?
That's a fair challenge, a very fair point.
How does being research-backed make that goal, balance, seem more achievable and less like, wishful thinking?
Well, I think the research-backed part acts as the counterweight to exactly that skepticism. It suggests the principles taught aren't just about feeling balanced for 5 minutes.
Okay.
It implies they're based on strategies proven to actually mitigate the physiological and psychological stuff that happens with chronic stress, which is what burnout really is.
So balance here isn't necessarily a perfect 50-50 split between work and life?
Probably not. It's more likely positioned as achieving a state of professional sustainability.
Yeah.
Basically the functional opposite of the collapse they're currently experiencing.
And the research gives that promise credibility, makes it seem like systemic change is possible.
That's the idea, yes. The structured, evidence-based path is what's supposed to make you believe that real sustainable change, that balance, is actually attainable.
Okay, that makes sense. So the promise is reliability, recovery, sustainability. Now, how is this actually delivered to someone who's already overloaded with information? This gets us to the structure.
Ah, yes, and this is really interesting. The design philosophy is stated very clearly. Each section is designed to stand alone.
Modular.
Exactly. And that modular structure, I'd argue that's maybe the most strategic choice for this specific audience.
Why specifically?
Think about burnout symptoms. Decision fatigue is a huge one. Cognitive resources are just depleted.
Right.
So when you're in that state, The idea of having to figure out what to listen to next or feeling you have to go through hours of content in order, that itself becomes another source of stress.
It's just one more thing on the mental to-do list. Another burden.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So this modular design, it neatly sidesteps that whole decision paralysis.
You don't have that pressure of linear completion.
No. And you don't feel like you've failed if you skip a section. You just pick the piece that feels most relevant to you right now. It's very low friction learning, really optimized for someone feeling anxious or overwhelmed.
And Walter seems to anticipate that the listener's needs might change day to day or even hour to hour.
Yeah, the source material explicitly mentions catering to 2 different states.
Okay, what are they?
It says you could be in crisis mode needing immediate relief, or you might be past the immediate crisis and ready to build long-term sustainable practices.
Wow, okay, that's quite a range. From immediate triage to long-term rehab, essentially.
It's smart product design, isn't it? The resource has to offer both the quick fix, the metaphorical Band-Aid, or painkiller.
The Tylenol, yeah.
Right. And also the long-term physical therapy plan. If you're having a really bad moment, maybe stuck in your car feeling panicked.
You don't need chapter 1 on core values right then.
Exactly. You need, like, a 3-minute breathing exercise or something to calm your nervous system now. The modularity lets you jump straight to that, find that immediate relief.
While the person who's maybe stabilized a bit, feeling a little less underwater.
They can then choose to focus on the more foundational stuff, the mindset shifts, the behavioral changes that hopefully prevent the next crash.
It really acknowledges that recovery isn't always a straight line. It can be messy.
And that acknowledgement itself feels compassionate, doesn't it? It says, we get it, we'll meet you wherever you are right now. It's not a one-size-fits-all course, it's more like a toolkit.
And what about how you listen? Not just content choice, but the environment. The intro mentions it's designed for use while commuting, during a walk, or in those quiet moments.
That detail, specifying these sort of non-focused listening times, tells you something important about the content itself.
What does it suggest to you?
It suggests the information has to be really digestible, conceptually quite light, perhaps, even if the research behind it is solid.
It can't demand intense concentration.
Right. No complex note-taking required. It has to work when you're partly distracted or just don't have the mental energy for deep focus.
Which respects the reality of the overwhelmed professional's life. They are multitasking, often unwillingly.
Exactly. Low cognitive overhead. The idea seems to be that the content can be absorbed, maybe synthesized a bit, and integrated into your day without you needing to carve out, a perfect quiet hour.
Which is probably impossible for them anyway.
Very likely. So it's designed for integration, not interruption.
Okay, so we've traced the path. Starts with acknowledging the need for recovery, offers this research-backed promise of balance, delivers it via a flexible, modular structure.
Designed to reduce overwhelm.
Right. So let's look at the end game, the psychological shift they're aiming for. The intro talks about a transition from exhaustion to empowerment.
Yeah. And this is where it all kind of comes together, I think. Exhaustion.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? Often it's feeling purely reactive, isn't it?
Like you're just responding to things constantly. Your inbox, your schedule.
Yeah.
They control you.
Exactly. You feel like you're being tossed around by external demands. Your boundaries feel weak or non-existent.
So what does empowerment look like in contrast in this professional context?
Empowerment here, I think, means reclaiming a sense of agency. Moving beyond just surviving day to day.
Beyond just seeking relief.
Right. Towards having active control. Control over your work, your schedule, how you set and maintain boundaries. It's about feeling like you're designing your work life, not just enduring it.
That's a significant shift from victim of circumstance to architect.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Walters doesn't make you wait until the end of the series to feel a glimmer of that agency.
How so?
Right there in the introduction, there's this little motivational boost. It says, choosing to listen to this means you're already taking the first step towards sustainable work life.
Ah, okay. So just pressing play is framed as progress.
Yes. And think about how powerful that could be for someone stuck in burnout inertia. When even the smallest action feels monumental.
Just deciding to engage with anything new can feel like climbing a mountain.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that line, it validates that tiny initial effort. It reframes the simple act of listening from being another task, another chore.
Into an accomplishment, a win.
Exactly. It immediately gives you a little psychological boost. It counters that feeling of I'm failing and replaces it with, okay, I'm starting. I'm actually doing something. You've already begun the recovery.
So looking at this introduction as a whole blueprint,
No.
it's clear this isn't just, a random collection of tips.
No, it feels very strategically designed. It's like a countermeasure specifically aimed at the symptoms of burnout.
How so?
Well, it tackles information overload with the modularity. It addresses the likely skepticism with the research-backed claim, and it tries to overcome that initial inertia with that compassionate framing and immediate validation.
It really does feel like an invitation to recover, but presented in a way that respects the listener's intelligence.
And there are very limited energy reserves at that moment.
Yeah. The underlying goal seems genuinely to be about healing that relationship with work, not just, squeezing out a bit more productivity before the next collapse.
Agreed. It feels aimed at genuine long-term well-being.
So, if we were to sum up what we've gleaned just from this introduction, it's that this resource is built to handle two distinct needs, isn't it?
Definitely. That immediate, almost emergency need for relief.
The crisis mode.
Right. And then the longer-term project of rebuilding sustainable habits and practices. And it tries to make accessing either of those easy, low-friction, modular, and compassionate.
And that very clear catering to those two modes, crisis relief versus long-term building, leads us nicely to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Since the resource explicitly separates crisis mode needing immediate relief from building long-term sustainable practices, what does that transition actually feel like for the person using it?
Yeah, what's the pivot point? What's the tangible mental shift, or maybe the specific insight or realization that signals you've moved? That tells you you're shifting from just trying to stop the bleeding
to actually starting the long-term therapy, the constructive building phase. What does that moment of learning, that shift from triage to foundational work actually look like from the inside?
Something to mull over as you think about your own path towards professional sustainability. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
We'll catch you next time.